Charlie Kirk thing kind of put the nail in the coffin of me being a Democrat. I was slowly moving away from it anyway because I was noticing certain things, but I'm not a Democrat. And I'm not a Republican either, but I'm not a Democrat. And I just noticed like certain things, like the way that the conversation would be shut down by calling somebody a name or calling somebody a bigot. It's like, okay, and why am I a bigot just because I disagree with you? Like, I can disagree with you and still not want anything bad for you. I just disagree. And it's like, oh, you're personally committing violence against me if you, disagree. It's like, that's a cop out. And I would notice certain things like that. I would notice that I was being intentionally angered every 4 years so that I would go out and vote. It would be a new token thing to like get behind. Oh, if you don't vote this year, this thing is going to happen and everything's going to be taken away. But then the next year, none of those things would happen. So I was just being gaslit every single time. And it's crazy because like I didn't recognize it, but as I started to just see it, I started to see how like it's one thing to believe in something, it's another thing to tell somebody they're bad if they don't, especially if the view is wacky, crazy, and all the way out there. Canceling somebody for something that they did when they was 8 years old, for something that they said when they was 8 years old, and that thing won't even a slur back then. It's like, what are we like do? Like, people can't grow. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's a way to keep people in control. And if you don't think exactly how I think, if you ever step in line, I can just like, take away. You know what I'm trying to say? And it was just very controlling, but just very evil. And like the moral superiority, the moral high horse, and the performative activism was crazy. Like, oh, we are so oppressed, and like ride the Starbucks. It's like there's actually people that are in different countries, and like that's very disrespectful to them to say that you're oppressed like that. Like, I would debate people down.
So I'm seeing a lot of these videos, much like what this lady here is talking about. She says this Charlie Kirk situation just put the nail in the coffin for me when it comes to no longer being Democrat. That's a new sound. That's not the regular sound I usually do. What the hell's going on with my soundboard? All right, we're gonna go with that, right? We're gonna go with that for now. I'm seeing a lot of these videos, right? We're gonna check out a few of them here in a little bit. Let me tell you guys something about myself, and we're going to listen to the rest of her video. The older I've gotten, I've done my best to try and align myself with what I am convicted as what is truth when it comes to the values I hold in my life. It's part of the reason I decided to start a family, get married. Part of the reason I decided to take more seriously my walk with Christ. I mean, if you go back and you look over my channel, I've talked about these things many times, but the older you get, the more you wonder, the more I started to ask myself, what is my purpose here on this earth? What do I believe? The more I found those answers for myself, but I'm always questioning, right? I'm always questioning a lot of what I believe. And I think personally, it's inspiring to see other people, such as this lady here, sharing her questioning her own values. And I think we should all question and make sure what we believe is true or not and compare it to reality. And as we question ourselves, we grow. And she has grown to a different version of herself. You may disagree, but she has grown. I think when it comes to the recent Charlie Kirk situation, I have grown into asking myself, okay, why do you feel a need to talk about this? There's conviction behind my motivation here. This is something I truly am troubled by. And that is a concept she mentioned there while she was talking, which is words are violence. Words are violence. What are we doing when we're teaching young people that words are violence? And in retaliation to those words, they need to be violent in return. Where do you draw the line? I think that's a very dangerous thing to believe that seems to be more widespread than ever. I am not a political expert. I'm not a marriage and relationship professionally trained, educated individual in any sense at all. I am a cultural commentator, and a lot of my channel has been built speaking on issues that relate to dating and relationships from a male perspective as a man who has more traditional values. So when it comes to the political space, I have to admit that there are things that I'm just not well versed about, that I just don't know, right? And you can decide at this moment if you want to go with me on this journey as I discuss my conviction when it comes to how people are reacting to this situation, how it's affecting me, and how I will hopefully continue to learn and grow. You can be a part of that journey, or you cannot. But I just want to plainly state that along with everything else I talk about, more cultural issues that are related to topics much like this. The Coffee Pot is backed by fathershaverights.com, the ultimate prenup prep guide for men who value marriage in our modern day. Future husbands, the divorce industry makes billions when men walk into a lawyer's office unprepared. Don't let the system profit from your ignorance. My step-by-step guide at fathershaverights.com, created with expert attorneys James Sexton and the lead attorney, hands you the questions, checklists, and strategy to walk in 10 steps ahead, and it costs only a couple of dinner dates. Click the link pinned to the top of the comment section, secure your future, and join the hundreds of men preparing their marriages the right way. Now, I wouldn't consider myself a Democrat. I wouldn't consider myself even a Republican, even though most of my values when it comes to dating relationships are more conservative. Ultimately, my goal in life, and I'm not very good at this, I got to be honest with you, is to try and align myself with Jesus and the teachings of Jesus. That's my goal. And the older I've gotten, that's become more and more clear. And as much as I identify as Christian, I also understand that I can't just lean on Christianity when I'm explaining what I believe, because I know Christianity has been used to commit very evil acts in this world. And no, I don't think you have to believe the way I do. I don't hate other people who don't believe the way I do. I don't think you should die because you have a difference of opinion. And no, I'm not a Christian Zionist. No. When it comes to faith, my stance is Jesus alone. And I hope the person who it mattered, that helped clarify things, gave you some context moving forward. Let's keep watching.
And here's the thing, I had to come to realization that like I would go online to see what I should feel about a subject instead of actually saying what I did feel about the subject to see what they were saying, and I would hop on it. And I had to be honest, I was hopping on bandwagons. And yes, it was when I was younger, but as I just grew older, I'm like, this not it. And finally, when it comes to the death of somebody, it's like, it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter what they think. Nobody deserves that. I can see if you just heard about it, but you saw it on camera and you still saying you ain't sad about it. That's like your humanity is now lost. Like politics is making like some of them crazy. And that's why I was just like, oh,
right,
y'all are drinking Kool-Aid right now. And I'm not going to drink that. Like I'm going to just walk off. And that's one of the reasons why. And it's the nail in the coffin, because if you are so politicked out that you cannot cry when somebody unalive, you're not as moral as you think you are. Sorry.
I commend her for her honesty. I don't think every person has to shed a tear or cry. I think what most people were shocked about and what was disheartening was celebrating the death of somebody because you believe that words are violence. No, you can't justify words being violent, because if that's the case, that means anyone who's offended by words that may affect them and affect their emotions. And if you're not able to control your emotions, you're now able to take that out on whoever you feel like deserves death. That's just a world that really, truly cannot be sustained in peace. Check out a few comments here. Top comment here says, welcome to the center/moderate side. So it seems like a lot of people are moving towards the center moderate side, right? And they don't necessarily want to be identified as Republicans, but they definitely, after this, don't want to be identified as liberal. I think it would be a very bad look for the Republican Party if they decide to return fire for fire here in this situation. It'd be very bad. And that won't be the answer to solving any problems. Somebody else here says, when liberals couldn't define a woman, they lost me. Somebody else here added, before I'm a conservative, I'm a realist. It's actually a really good comment right there. Before I'm a Republican, before I'm a conservative, I'm a realist. I analyze both sides no matter what, and I'm not afraid to criticize my party. Yeah, I think the problem becomes people, especially if you care about either money, right, as a platform, and you don't want to lose the support of your audience, or you're somebody who finds your confidence in how people view you, and your confidence is placed in other people, then you're going to bandwagon on whatever's popular. You most likely won't be honest about your stance. Guys, I used to listen to Charlie Kirk, and there were a lot of things he said that I disagreed with, especially when it came to the topics of marriage, dating, relationships. He was very pro everybody needs to get married, have more kids than you can afford. I think I've heard him say that a couple of times. And I felt like there was a lack of understanding of what men are dealing with today in today's modern dating market, which is surprising considering he was around my age. Somebody else who says, never voting blue again. When he changed, another person here added, I joined the Republican Party today. Whoa, here's our sound again. That's hilarious, bro. I can't believe it.
So far, I've seen videos of just the left being pro-unaliving political opponents, whether that be Trump, J.D. Vance, people celebrating what happened to Charlie Kirk today. It's just disgusting behavior. The fact that I have been a part of the left for 7 years, I never thought we'd get to the point where I would have to look at my own party and be like, oh, hold on, I can't support you anymore.
Right.
Because everything that you are doing right now is against your political viewpoints and your values and beliefs. To sit here and promote gun violence against your opponents is wrong. And it arguably makes you worse than the other side, because you're basically saying these people deserve to be unalived,
right,
because our political beliefs are more important and should stand and should have more value than a human life. Yeah, that doesn't sit right with me at all.
What I won't do as well is I won't acknowledge that they weren't people who actually said, hey, this is too far. I saw a few of them, and I do want to acknowledge that. With that being said, the fact that they were acknowledging that also points to them looking around and seeing like, yo, this is wrong. Why are so many people on the left celebrating? A few comments here. Top comment here says, guys, this is 17 hours ago. Top comment here, we accept you with open arms. Somebody else who says, done being a Democrat. This is a person who has 1,000+ comments. Somebody else here says, I will never vote Democrat again. Somebody else here added, I will never support the left again. Another person who says, Charlie was the reason I became a conservative 6 years ago. He made a huge impact on my life. Another person who says, me and my husband switched parties before midnight last night. Just disgusted. Our hearts are broken for a man that told the truth.
People are feeling a sense of euphoria, and people are feeling a sense of relief that it happened. But I think it's really important that, and I keep saying this, that we quell this with a sense of stoic realism, and that this event has changed our political landscape, not for the better. Personal feelings towards him, even you wishing this on him a month ago, yesterday, 3 hours ago, actualization of the event is the issue. It's not wrong for you to hate his guts. It's wrong for you not to defend his rights. The way that people are talking about this is so gross. Not even like that they don't care that he's gone, but it's like everyone just forgot who he is. Someone's father. What are you talking about? Does that suddenly forego? The issue was not that he was someone's father. The issue wasn't even that he was a person. The issue is that this changes our political landscape and justifies unaliving people for their opinions, even when they are not elected officials with direct control over legislation. We are approaching a societal norm of not being able to tell people what you believe in or become too influential at the threat of being unalived. That's the issue. Not people not caring that he's gone. It's the violence that will ensue. Has set a political precedent of unaliving influential pundits. That's what cares that people hate him. Who cares? Who cares that people were wishing for this to happen? Who cares? It has happened. It has happened, and now all of our rights are at stake. not even from the administration. There is an agreement that we have within society that I will not infringe upon your rights and you will not infringe upon mine, and I will enforce your rights. In exchange for me enforcing your rights, you enforce my rights. And if I don't like what you're doing with your rights, the agreement is that I enforce them regardless. Because if I stop enforcing your rights because I don't like it, now I have nothing to justify enforcing my rights. There are no real protections from people attacking you or punishing you or executing you for using your First Amendment rights. The only thing that comes after that is jail time or their own execution. But there is no real protection for us. The second we realize that we don't actually have to uphold the contract, everything falls apart. There's no real way for the government to enforce someone not unaliving you for your political stance. No matter how influential you are, there is no real protection from that. There is nothing really stopping anyone from doing so. This is the precedent that this has set. Wishing for something to happen is not the same as it actually happening. Your thoughts are your First Amendment. Your actual actions are not. They're not your right. You don't get to just impose that onto other people. That's why we only prosecute actualized crime when you really do the thing and not a thought crime. Because you can still enforce the right for someone to think whatever they want to think. You can no longer enforce Charlie Kirk's rights. He doesn't have any anymore. It is irreversible.
If you voted Democrat, like I did, you voted for a party that does not exist anymore. This is not the Kennedy Democratic Party. This is not the party of people that want to give back to their community, that they believe in kindness for everybody, equality, and acceptance. None of these things exist anymore in the Democratic Party. I am ashamed of the Democratic Party, and I have been for a long time, which is why I consider myself an independent now. And here we are, it's 24 years after 9/11, and we are in no better shape than we were on that day, except now the war is inside of our country. The war is us against each other. We have lost our way in the United States. Democrats and liberals and people that are all like, you know, peace and love and equality and unity have come onto this app to say the most horrific things about this 31-year-old man. And in Washington, they asked for a moment of silence, and Democrats were audibly booing and refused to stand for this man. I don't even recognize the United States. I really don't. We're a laughingstock to many other countries that are looking at us saying, like, are you all okay? We're not okay. We are not the United States of America. We are divided. We are clearly divided. And if the murder of Charlie Kirk does not prove that, I don't know what will. Honestly, I don't know what will.
This is going to be a short and simple video. I haven't done one in forever. I just got out of the gym, so sorry I look like this. I just want to say, unfriend me. Seriously, unfriend me. I don't want any Democrats or liberals following me, or I don't want to be friends with them anymore. I'm an independent, and however, I know right from wrong. I know good from evil, and I can't take it anymore. The Democrats have shown how purely evil they are. The Democratic politicians promote violence, promote like hatred to anybody that has a opposite opinion, and it was clear today. Today was the last step. I will never vote Democratic again, and I no longer want anybody following me who is one. So goodbye, Felicia. I'm done.
So I went to bed early. Just didn't feel right. I wanted to get my emotions together. And this is what we'll say. I was a Democrat my whole life. I never will be ever again. The party's gone. You'll never see the White House in this lifetime again. The red wave is going to sweep the nation. That's a fact. And Democrats no longer get to say they're compassionate. The right is evil. You've shown your true colors. We got ugly, fat, nasty-looking white women celebrating the death of a young man when it was a Maryland dad who had child porn, was in a gang, did not want to go back to his country because rival gangs would kill him. You supported that man, and then you did not support an actual family man, a Christian, who liked to have a conversation, not an argument. The left wants to scream and pout and be childish. Baron Trump, where's my luggage? I heard an adult say that, okay? Look up what Baron Trump has done with his trust money. Just look that up once. You know, if Donald J. did half of the things that Hunter Biden did, this earth would explode. The left, you no longer have a say. You no longer have a First Amendment right. You've lost it. You've lost it. You've lost your minds. You've proven it. I don't know what to tell you.
I was raised a Democrat. I'm black. That's just it. Even though Nigerian culture is very conservative, if you're black, you vote Democrat.
She says, I was raised black, Democrat, no matter what. I understand.
That's what you know. And then in 2023, I started asking questions. Something just didn't feel right. I started asking questions. And I quickly realized that the Democratic Party is ran as a cult. You're not allowed to ask questions. You're not allowed to even have an opinion outside the one everyone has. You have to walk in unison with everybody else, talk the same, walk the same, act the same. You're not allowed to think outside the box. And if you dare to call it out of the box, you will be canceled. You will be doxxed immediately. And their language is violence. And it doesn't have to be just what we just saw with Charlie. Even just in conversing with them, it's immediate violence, name calling, abuse. I mean, violence 24/7. They're always ready to be violent. And then in 2024, I wasn't sure how to vote. I just kept saying, I don't know how to vote. I met a bunch of conservatives and we had a group chat and we would talk and I would ask questions. They will answer with so much kindness. And I would say, but this is not right, because I still had that Democrat arrogance in me. And they will say, it's okay, Nikki.
It's the Democrat arrogance.
It's okay, we can explain it to you. As many times as you want, they will say. As many times as you want, we'll explain it to you. And they will tell me, you should watch Charlie. So I watched Charlie. Every day. Sometimes I disagree with him. Sometimes I agree. Sometimes I would yell onto my laptop when I'm watching his podcast. Sometimes I will clap. But I watch Charlie every day. He became part of my routine every single day. Conservatives are the majority in this country. Republicans are the majority in this country. They're just called the silent majority because the other side, the Democrats, even though there's only a few of them left, they're diminishing at the speed of light. They're so loud and they're so obnoxious and they're so violent. That I feel like they almost bully conservatives into submission, right? They're the party who cuts you off. They cut off family, they cut off friends, they dox your job, they cancel you. So then you stop speaking, you don't speak. Conservatives don't speak, they're not loud. Since he passed away, I've seen people dancing, rejoicing, clapping, twerking. They love to twerk. Twerking, jumping up and down. And this is the people who are supposed to be the good people. That's what they do. They wear that as their armor, sanctimonious as ever. We're the good people. We're liberals. We're still great. We're amazing. So petulant. I say all that to say, I think the only way this behavior of theirs will ever change and I was talking to my conservative friends about this, I say, we have to adopt part of their behavior.
Really?
That's the only way it's going to change.
See, I don't know about that. And I've seen a lot of people have that take, by the way, is they won't understand until there's retaliation. And as somebody, because I'm hearing her talk about being heavily involved in the Liberal Party, I've never been that much involved in politics, guys. Never cared that much about politics. I've been doing content for 5 years. This is the most I've ever spoken on topics that are this political. She talks about people celebrating and dancing. On that point, I really thought about what is it that person who celebrates and dances when somebody gets deleted because they believe their words were that disturbing to their psyche, their words, and they think that that's okay. It makes me wonder where are they getting the idea that that's right. And it finally hit me after listening to Cliff Connectley, which ironically, he has been doing the same thing since I think the 70s that Charlie Kirk has been doing, just talking at college campuses. Of course, he's a pastor. What he talks about is mainly spiritually based. But I remember he was asked a question about what have you noticed has been the biggest change and the biggest negative change when it comes to college campuses and the mindset of just the individuals that attend them. And he said it was moral relativism. The idea that a group of people can just decide what's right or wrong. And that's it. Or an individual can decide what's right or wrong. And there really is no right or wrong, which led me to believe, okay, that makes a lot of sense. If you see someone act in a way that you may think is disturbing to you, you may think that person's been extreme. You got to ask yourself, where do they get their morals from? Who do they give their allegiance to? Some people, it's themselves, right? As long as they benefit, they don't care. Some people, it's a particular race. My allegiance is to my race, my people, and no one else. Some people, it's their country, right? What would the authority in their life say about the way they conduct themselves? And if their final last authority is themselves, then you can rest assured that they'll do whatever benefits just themselves.
They cut off family, they dox you, they cut off your friends, they're insufferable. And until conservatives start acting like that, nothing is going to change. You feel like they're the minority in the country. So when they threaten, oh, I'm going to cut you off, that shouldn't do anything to us. I'm going to cut you off. What do you mean? I'm going to cut you off. Because moving forward for me, I just don't see, other than maybe like there are 2 or 3 exceptions in my life, I don't see how it's possible for me to have liberal friends. Because, I saw a clip that says, like, who runs the Democratic Party? And it says Satan. And I truly believe that. There's a demonic entity running that party at the very least. And I'm at the point now, that if you're a Democrat or liberal and we're friends, there's a good chance. And if I saw you celebrating or quiet, you would never hear from me again. Never.
All right, guys, that's it. I do think that this is a historical pivotal moment for a lot of people. And you might feel differently, or you might agree.